They don't care about us. I'm thinking about a song that a popular pop artist put out some years ago that said, all I really want to say is they don't really care about us. And that's what I'm saying. They don't really care about us. Let me say it again. They don't really care about us. And somebody might be wondering, who is they? Who are you talking about? Who are the they? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm talking about our spiritual leaders, our pastors, our elders, our overseers, our bishops, our apostles. I'm saying apostles loosely. Our apostles, our reverends, however you want to title them. They really don't care about us. They only care about themselves. And their worldly friends. That's who they care about, themselves. They just use us, have used us, the poor Christians, to get rich, to elevate themselves. Yeah, they have done it. They have done it. Some preacher, Bishop Wooden, talked about Tyler Perry some time ago. He talked about Tyler Perry played the church, took advantage of the church. Yeah, he did. But Tyler Perry wasn't even trying to disguise himself as a sheep. He wasn't even putting on a disguise, although he made his fortune off of putting on a false body. But yet he wasn't disguised. What you mean he wasn't disguised? Well, look at what he presented to the church. Look at what he presented to the church. And what he presented to the church made him who he is today. But I'm talking about our leaders, our spiritual leaders. They teamed up with him and people such as him to take advantage of us. Yeah, they did. They became a lot of the major preachers, pastors in our country befriended Mud Deal. They conspired with Mud Deal. They brought Mud Deal into the church. They introduced Mud Deal to the church people. The gullible church folks. A lot of pastors right today is friends, very close friends with Madea. A lot of pastors today are very close friends with Oprah Winfrey. Church folks supported that abomination from day one. Church folks, they brought that play into churches. They cut deals with the devil, brought that stuff into the church. But it is not only Tyler Perry. A lot of pastors were doing the same thing long before Tyler Perry came out, Muddill came out. They was taking advantage of the poor Christians. They learned that years ago, long time before Tyler Muddill came around. They had already been in school learning how. Had already been learning how to take advantage of the poor Christians long before Muddill came about. It's proof. It's out there. A lot of them are still around today. They still pastor. They ain't never cared about us. Look at your pastors. Look at your leaders. Look at how they dress. Being a leader, being a pastor is equivalent to being a farmer. Throughout the Bible, the Old Testament, New Testament, what do you see? Farming. Farming. Hard work. Leaders. Dedication. It's not about being pretty. It's not about being famous. It's not about being rich. But that's exactly what they are all about. They put on their suits every day. They put their gaiters on every day. They get in their expensive cars and ride around every day, or they be chauffeured around. Your leaders, your spiritual leaders, if they supposed to be farmers, equivalent to farmers, why is your pastor walking around in expensive suits every day? Why is he dressed up like a corporate businessman? When you pastor a church, you're gonna be a leader. You go to work like you going to work on a farm, like a farmer. You put your coveralls on, you put your work boots on, you put your dirty clothes on, you go out there and tend to the farm. You go out there and tend to the crop. You go out there and tend to the cattle. Ain't nothing pretty about being a farmer. You got to plant. You got to spend a lot of time in the field during the spring, planting. You got to spend a lot of time in between fertilizing, nurturing cattle. Then harvest time comes like twice a year, but harvest time is not for it won't come until the day comes. But preachers are supposed to do everything farmers do except for harvest. Let the wheat and tare grow together. Jesus said, I do the separate. Ain't nothing pretty about being a spiritual leader. Look at them. Look at them. I heard the late Willie Neal Johnson of the Gospel Keynote say years ago. It's on YouTube. He said, I don't know what kind of Holy Ghost y'all got down here in Mississippi, Jackson. But the Holy Ghost, the God that I serve, in that little country town of Tyler, Texas, he said, you got to get ugly. You can't do nothing for God trying to be pretty. You got to get ugly. He was right. You got to get ugly. You got to be dirt. You got to get dirty. You got to be willing to get dirty. You got to be willing to go to work, get calluses on your hand. This is a hands-on thing. The leaders that we have today is not willing to get dirty. They ain't trying to get into the pig pen. They ain't trying to get into the cattle stall. If that cow, that heifer, is struggling to deliver that baby, they gonna stand there on the outside and watch her. They ain't finna get in there. They ain't finna go out there to the fields, to the pastures, and gather the cattle. They not finna do it. They don't have time for it. Being a leader, being a shepherd, a pastor, man, you got to stand there and watch your flock. You got to stand there and keep guard. You can't depend on nobody to watch the flock, cattle, or farm but you. Now, farming that we know of, people have thousands of acres of, that's different. But it's still the responsibility of the farmer to make sure that the crops is planted. The crop is nurtured in harvest on time. You got to make sure the crop is ready for harvest. Now, if natural disaster come, ain't nothing they can do about it. But still, they got to go back out there after the flood come or whatever and prepare their crop again, prepare their land to be they got to work. It's a constantly work. Farmers get up in the morning, they ain't getting up putting on their $1,000 suits, $500 shoes. They not getting up putting on the best cologne. They not putting on different suits every day. They don't really care about us, and it shows. All they care about is their pockets, taking advantage of us so they can live amongst they celebrity friends, they worldly celebrity friends. Everybody plays a part in taking advantage of the church people. Our pastors, our leaders, a lot of them dead and gone now. A lot of our leaders failed us. They failed to guard the farm. They failed to guard the sheep. They were hirelings. This is what we're dealing with, hirelings. They not willing to put their life on the line for us poor sheep. They're not willing to get dirty. They're not willing to go out there in the mud to rescue that animal. They don't care. They look at us like we just inexpensive. You know, they look at us like, well, I got more. It's more where they come from. I ain't got to worry about them. Let them go. All you got to do is go out there 5 feet into the water, go out there about 2 feet into the mud, tie a rope around the cow, and pull out the mud. They ain't willing to do that. They willing to sit there and watch her die, watch him die, to watch it die. Then they go out there and get dirty, get muddy. This is what we're dealing with. They don't care. They done got filthy rich. They still getting rich every day, every Sunday, every weekend. Concerts, churches. They know church folks are very easy. They know a lot of us are emotional unstable. Don't have no back, don't have no courage. Don't have no strength. They exploit everything. They know. And all they do is get up in the pulpits on Sunday mornings, take you on a emotional roller coaster, and at the end of the Sunday, they checking their bank account, their tithe money. Make sure they made their money for the week. Sunday over with, they gonna go on back out there Monday through Saturday and cozy up with their friends or cozy up with their worldly wives, somebody else's wife, Keon Henderson. Marvin Winans gonna go back out there and spend the week down at Tyler Perry Place. They're gonna go back and sit in front of Oprah Winfrey. And sip tea and be treated like kings and queens amongst their celebrity friends. But when it come to us, they can care less. When the world call them, the leaders, they drop everything and go run into the world. When the ordinary saints call them, you got to hope that the deacon or somebody in the church come and visit you. You be lucky if you get a letter. You done spent 25, 30, 40 years at this church. They're the same pastor. And he don't have no idea who you are. All of them is taking advantage of us. when they want to say, did you watch the videotape of Ty Tribbett? Did you watch the entire thing? No, you don't have to watch the entire thing to understand where they are coming from. Don't be sucker. That's a sucker move. Did you watch the entire thing? No, it don't take no but a little bit. Did he say some stuff that might be true? Yes. But for him to be a man that grew up in the church and calling himself a pastor now, it don't matter. If he said some true stuff, but his whole position was wrong. The church is whack. When you say the church is whack, you ain't talking about no church building. That's what they want to play on too. Well, on one hand, the church building is important. On the other hand, well, we are the church. Yeah, we the church. So when he said the church is whack, he's talking about the entire makeup of church. But yet he called himself a pastor. If the church is whack and he don't like the way the church has been going, you can go back to the years when he started off. Has he tried to call for a meeting? Has he tried to call the church back into line to a new? Is he on record for trying to reestablish the foundation of church? No, he been in it for the money himself. He called himself a pastor. He called himself leading a people. But he just like them celebrities. He is a celebrity. He done got filthy rich off the church. He ain't never walked away from the church. He used the church to his advantage. All of them used the church to their advantage. They ain't never cared about us. I started my show. This is my second reboot on my show. Let's Talk About It. I'll Talk About It 2.0. I was been calling for a revival of the pastors. They need to be revived. If Ty Tribbett got some hurt issues in the church, he said he grew up in the church. He didn't come from the street. He grew up, so he know what church is all about. He seen the issues a long time ago. So what are the issues? Are they personal? Or his issues just that he don't like the way the Bible is structured? If you don't like the way the Bible is structured, that's your problem. Not an issue with God. Now, if you might have some personal issues or some that affected you, but is the Bible at fault? Being you go to the world and talk about the church. You go to the heathens and talk about church issues. Go to the leaders. Go use your platform to call the leaders. Y'all have power. You and Kirk Franklin and all, y'all got power. Y'all can do it. Y'all have a voice. Y'all won't speak out against the leaders. Poor people like me got to speak up and call out the leaders. I was never a fan of G.E. Patterson. I live in Memphis. I'm from Memphis. A lot of people love G.E. Patterson. G.E. Patterson took advantage of a lot of folks. I know he did. I used to stay next door to some old people that were head over heels in love with G.E. Patterson. I didn't never see what was so exciting about G.E. Patterson. He was just an average, ordinary preacher. Our culture, we tend to put emphasis on the wrong stuff when it comes to the leaders. Just because people fall in love with a pastor and he had that charisma to take advantage, that don't mean he's special anointed by God. That's a sheep. G. Pastor made lots of money off of them congregational songs in which he couldn't even sing. But he recorded them, he built that church and turned it into a live studio, his own production place, and started recording them old songs like everybody doing and making millions and made millions of dollars out of them in royalties. And who did he make the money off? His members, his people. That's what they in it for. They don't care about us. They in it for what they can get. They not farmers. They are bankers, posing as farmers. They were preaching, pastoring the church leader it amounts to being a farmer. Being a shepherd. When danger comes, they're going to leave you alone. When you facing danger, tough time in life, they ain't thinking about you. They don't want to invest no time into you. They don't want to invest no resources into you. They ain't finna spend no money on you. I'm calling all y'all out of these churches and away from these concerts. Kirk Franklin them go on tour, and what they do? Go out there and glorify the devil. Kirk Franklin, behind the scenes, listening to gangster rap, Drake, Biggie. I saw that clip. David Mann didn't like it. But for the love of money, for the love of fame, they go along with stuff. Kirk Franklin out there glorified drag queens at their gospel shows. And I just seen some recently with Kirk Franklin apologize to the LBGQT community. They in it for the money. They not gonna stand with us. They not with us. They not of us. They not of us. They view us as poor people, worthless folks. That's the way they view us. Poor, worthless folks. Just drain, get what they can get out of us and leave us alone. Pretend like they love the Lord. They don't care. Pretend like they love the Lord. Snoop Dogg pretend like he loved the Lord after many years of being a gangster rapper. Then he put a so-called gospel CD out. And what the church do? The rich folk, the rich preacher, they started gathering around Snoop Dogg, like Creflo Dollar. Kanye did the same thing years later. Put that song out, Jesus Walk. Jesus Walk. Yolanda Adams. I remember her on the music award show singing that song with him. Stop supporting these gospel artists. Stop supporting these worldly preachers. Stop supporting them. You see who they support. You see who they love. You see who they run with. You see how they dress? The way they dress tells you a lot about them. You buying their clothes, you buying their expensive suits, briefcase, luggages. They got rich off of us. Marvin Sapp, Marvin Wines, they got rich off the poor folk. But the world is their friends. You ain't their friends. You not their friends. They view us as a bunch of nobodies. William Murphy said that. A bunch of nobodies. It's the way they view us. A bunch of nobodies. You can't sing. You're not a well-known preacher. We don't know you, so you're a nobody. But by my music, they don't care now. A lot of them don't care now. They well established. They got the royalties coming in. They still making music. People gonna buy it. They don't care. They done made it. They don't care what y'all do. Yeah, they don't care how y'all and it's off now. So the new age artists is coming up, gospel artists. They being schooled by the older gospel artists, and they don't care. They in it for the money too. They done sold their soul. We talk about the R&B artists and all them, how they sell. The gospel artists are doing the same thing. They selling themselves for the dollar. They willing to go all the way for the devil. I'm telling y'all, stop supporting these folks. Take your own money and spend it. They don't care if you get put in the poorhouse. They don't care if your life gets shut off. They don't care if your car get repoed. They not telling you to keep your money. Don't stop supporting these concerts. Stop supporting these pals. They're not telling you to keep your money. They're not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves. They don't really care about us.